Hello. It is Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us. Man, we've got a lot to get to here on this Friday. We'll talk some Braves baseball with Gaurav Vidak of SB Nation, Battery Power there on SB Nation. He's got some thoughts on Michael Harris, who continues to play exceptionally well since his call-up. You got baseball in the Borough with Georgia Southern and UNC Greensboro later tonight. Notre Dame, Texas Tech in town. I understand they're in a lightning delay, a weather delay. It is now raining, so could be a long afternoon, evening, weekend.
Oh, yeah.
If it continues to rain there at Statesboro. But again, first ever regional there in Statesboro. I did see this. I don't know if you saw this, but good on. I know we enjoy having Jared Biko on, but saw him out today. A tweet of him out there painting the baseball stadium, getting it ready for the regional. That's dedication, man. When I don't know. Again, I'm not going to speak out of turn. I don't know if the Alabama AD's out there with a paintbrush.
I mean, look,
sprucing it up. I don't know that.
Think about it, Kevin. Hold on. You got something big that's never happened. You were AD at school X, and this was y'all going through the morning meetings, and you hear, yeah, man. I mean, who's gonna paint the? Well, you go, what? Who's gonna paint it? What you mean who's gonna? What you mean who's gonna paint it? No. I think hold on. So, 2022, Jared Binko is painting the baseball stadium. 2021, and then Sean Quinn is painting.
Yeah, that's right.
Room.
That's right. Stop.
Listen, okay, this is what it is. You got tired of you do it. Give me the paint because I'm sick of this. Shout out to Jared Binko who said, look, if you think because it's almost think about it, Kevin. If you are Jared Binko, all he's thinking is you think anybody saw it? What you mean? You think somebody saw the corner that wasn't? I'm going over there right now and I'm getting it done. But shout out to them Georgia Southern Eagles hosting their first ever regional. Texas Tech, Notre Dame is in the Borough. Gotta love it.
That's right. Again, just dedicate. Again, one of those guys like, hey, I'm willing to do what I'm trying to get everybody else to do. I like it. And again, we enjoy having Jared Binko on the show. But I saw that and I was like, hey, I don't know at a major college how many ADs are getting out there with a paintbrush and painting anything. They might do the ceremony like, hey, we're gonna freshen up the stadium. And do like the little one stroke for the picture, like, all right, I'm out. But no, man, look, I just saw that. Welcome to the world of everything goes viral. And Jared Binko, like, the last thing I want is somebody be like, hey, man, you notice that the stadium ain't painted right here. Hey, y'all get away from this. No, that's when somebody else comes up to you and go, you know who's painting at the stadium, right? Yeah, the athletic. You might want to go grab a brush.
You might want to go,
and chip in.
Oh, exactly. Everybody who's in the athletic department is saying to themselves, "Hey, man, I mean, do you guys go above and beyond? Man, it's hot out there. Is it? Well, you would hope so.
Yeah, the head guys out there getting it done.
Yeah, we live in the Southeast. It gets really, really hot, really, really fast. I mean, but shout out to Jared Binko, though, man. Congratulations, like I said, the Georgia Southern City of Statesboro hosting their first ever regional. There's only 16 of them, and they are one of them. Shout out to them.
Absolutely, going to be a big weekend of baseball there in Statesboro. SEC meetings are done in Destin. Normally, that's like a big to-do. I don't know what got solved this week in Destin. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later in the show as well. We had the NBA Finals bin last night, and it kind of goes away and went in a direction that I don't know if a lot of people saw coming. So we'll get to that coming up later on the show as well. 912-342-7184, 912-342-7184. You can hit us up on Twitter as well at Pigskin Radio, at Pigskin Radio. We are streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. You can also see us live streaming my smiling face, Ben's smiling face on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at ESPN Coastal. And you can follow along with us right there online. So a number of ways for you to get us here on the show. But Braves last night, Ben, you sent me a text. Normally, Ben doesn't send me a text after a certain time because Ben's like, I was tired. But you sent me a text last night and said, quote, the Braves are balling.
They were.
They finally got one.
This is what I really did. So, because the Braves scare me, people are like, oh, man, they was up by like 6. No. I need that secure. Like, Braves can be up 5-0 down. It has proven that it's not safe in this year's MLB. But when, Darno, he started really going crazy, and I was like, okay, man. Like, it's one of those things, Kevin, you say, all right, if they come back and they tie and they lose, I'm never texting Kevin again during the game. But I just think that, this is what I used to do at night because, I mean, the games go too late. I mean, I ain't going to stay up. I go straight to the box scores. And when I'm going, when it's so many games in MLB, Kevin, I'm just scrolling up. I'm like, I don't know if anybody does. I'm scrolling up real slow, like it's my fault. Like, come on, Braves. Oh, Braves up big. And I'm like, okay, they kind of balling right now. Then when I saw Darno go yard again, I said, all right, I feel secure. But at the same time, Kevin, it's what we said. It's like the Braves do it from the most unlikely of people. Like if you would have told me the Braves go out there and dominate, I was, oh man, Olsen, Riley, Acuna, Darno. What? And I think that's kind of like, I hope that this Braves team realize, look, man, somebody's up every game. We don't know who. We don't know who's going to get the high hand. We don't know in the lineup or pitching or what may have you. But you got to string some wins together. You want to get a winning streak. And Kevin, at this point, we'll take it any way you can get it. It used to be you want to get 3 in a row against the same team. If it started with a previous team and you want to bring it over to another team, because last night I was on a podcast I'm not going to mention, and there was a person on there who roots for the evil empire, and I was like, I kind of let him know. I said, you see what my Bravo's doing right now? He goes, I'm a Yankees fan. I'm like, listen, man, my internet will go out hearing that kind of nonsense coming from you. But no. But shout out to the Bravos, man. Got it done, Kevin. At this point, it's about getting it done. I'm not the BJ Bender of wasting runs. Get as many as you can get, but hopefully that carries over. I like the energy last night.
Whatever it takes to get wins at this point. A chance to go for I shouldn't even say it, because how many times have I said, hey, a chance for 3 in a row. I mean, please. And again, Colorado has been one of those places, man, where it's like it could be a lot of fun because you can score a lot of runs. It's big. The ball travels well in that thin air, or it can be a house of horrors. And so far, it's been it's been good for the Braves, at least through one game. I'm hoping, Ben, again, just for the sake of quit talking about it, they can win 3 games in a row and kind of put together a winning streak. I mean, you look at it, and I was just checking out today. The Braves are 9.5 behind the Mets, and you look at it and say, well, man, the Braves are 6-4 of their last 10, which is not terrible. I mean, that's above 500 baseball in your last 10. Mets are 7-3 though. So that's what you're dealing with. You have got to play a little bit better baseball and hope again. The Mets are ending this stretch. The Dodgers, Padres, Angels, Brewers, Houston. I think they're playing the Dodgers right now. So you hope, and apparently the Mets are all upset. They said the Dodgers visiting locker room was apparently not up to par. Smelled like, I was trying to say, what somebody tweeted, I'm trying to remember who it was, said it smelled like rat urine. I don't really know if that's got a specific smell. To me, like, I don't want to get too involved in the show, but urine's urine. I don't know if there's a big difference. In the way it all smells bad.
Whoever describing that, how would you? I mean, how many rats have you dealt with in your lifetime? Like, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm just listen. If coming from a person who lived in the Northeast, to where, listen, people, you live in Jersey, and this is the New York and New Jersey transit system. You got some big dog-looking rats climbing up the freaking wall. But no, I mean, hey, look, that's what we do today. I mean, if that's what it smelled like.
Were they ever actually on the train?
Yeah. Well, they say at a certain time at night they will be. But the craziest part about working in
on
New York,
the train, like in it.
Yeah. Well, the craziest part about it is, Kevin, we Southerners, so I mean, ain't no crash. I'm in the subway waiting on the train, and I see this thing that looks like a little dog, and I'm like, what?
That big?
Oh, big. They like climb up the side of the wall. It's one of those, with us, we see a little itty bitty, and just imagine something like, twice the size of my hand. And I'm like, what? And mind you, that's how they know. Once again, that's how they know I'm like, oh my God, it's a rat. And people look like this. Man, it's New York City.
Yeah, we call this a Friday afternoon in the subway.
We call it, they'll say they live here too. Like, I said, are you defending him right now? Yeah, the Ratatouille, if he come over here, this going to be his last day. But hey, I've never smelt rat urine, but I'm guessing the people that have, I'm guessing it doesn't smell well. I'm guessing that.
So maybe that's what the Mets are doing.
Kevin, urine, is urine. It's
it all smells bad.
Yes.
No, maybe that's why the Braves didn't play well. Maybe that's because they're in the locker room like, what?
Like, is that turpentine? No, that ain't turpentine.
Somebody get some Febreze in here or something?
And you know what? And you know what's crazy about baseball players? They never really get into how, some of these stadiums are kind of wacky. They don't really say anything. They'll look, man, I don't want to be the first. Like,
I mean, some of these stadiums have been around a long time. I imagine it smells a little musty. Like I'm saying, if you're with the Red Sox, you're like,
oh yeah,
and you're like, hey, Ted Williams was in this locker room.
Got to be,
no, wow. I'm saying, but like, yeah, you're like, hey, Ted Williams. Well, Ted Williams hadn't played since like the early the 50s and the 60s.
And you know they want to quote, and with all these renovations, they want to keep everything the same. Like, no, we can get rid of these toilets. I think we can get rid of these. Like
Babe Ruth once said here.
Babe Ruth used the bathroom, that bathroom after everything. No, like okay, well, make it a monument and put something around it nobody can use it.
It's the memorial stall at the
yeah, like I'm just, it's the golden stool.
That's
Listen
right.
to me. At the end of the day, I never met my great grandparents, but if they say your great grandfather should not, well,
time for an update.
Yeah. I said, what color is it? It's made out of wood. Not doing it. I'm just saying, certain things. Look, at the end of the day, listen, as a person that played in a lot of football stadiums, I mean, the old Orange Bowl was awful. Like, it used to be awful when we used to be down there. But
yeah.
I do think that certain traditions are ridiculous. Like, I get it. All right, boom. So, I don't want Babe Ruth. I don't want to use anything
I know this is kind of a way off the topic, but hey, we're doing it on a Friday. Why not? Worst smelling locker room you've ever been in was where?
Man,
was there one in the pros that was real bad?
That was real bad, man. You like, dude, what is?
Oh
my God! Listen, and I mean this respectfully.
Like, I'm just gonna change outside.
I mean this respectfully. I played for the Raiders, but I also played against them. So when I play against the Raiders my rookie year, we going to, we in the visitors locker room, and you look around like, what the hell is this? Like, you look around, everything is right? That and San Diego, by the way. San Diego's was bad too. They was bad. You know how like you watch like the A League of Their Own or whatever.
Do they do that on purpose?
And you see how they got to make a set, but you see everything's wood.
Yeah. But
that's the crazy part. Then I play for the Raiders, and I walk into the Raiders locker room, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's almost like they trying to preserve too much. And I'm like, listen, man, like, did you consult with me? I don't want to sit on the bench. It's going, like, is that a splinter? It's so for me, it was the old, San Diego. And obviously when you talk about,
it was just bad or like smell bad. And
it smelled bad, but Kevin, it's one of those things to where it's like this. It's like walking into a hotel room. You walk in, you like, it's okay. Or you like, it's what?
Yeah.
What is it? And like I said, the old Chargers, the old Raiders, love the Raiders, by the way. And a number. And if I go college, I'm sorry, Vanderbilt
is bad. You think
I'm like, I mean, you like, hey, what? Hey, Buffalo wasn't the best either. Like, it's like it is. I can't remember the stadium, but there is a stadium out there that the visitors' locker room was all pink. So they paint everything.
I was at Iowa. Does that?
Okay.
Their visitor locker room. Yeah. No, I'm saying, look, everybody who's played sports knows hey, there's been a locker room or two you walked in. It's got that special smell of sweat and humidity. That just it's a nasty combination.
Or this. I will say this. Went to the University of Tennessee to play up there twice. We had to go to a movie theater. Now, listen, Kevin. Just imagine the first, Grease movie theater. You like the movie Grease. You walk in,
right?
And everything is dim. You got the dust coming from the ground. I'm like, what kind of and maybe they just did that, but like I say, man, some of these stadiums, everything is an upgrade now.
Yeah.
They can't. That stuff can't live.
It's all an experience. But the Mets were complaining about it. Said the visiting locker room unacceptable for the Mets. I hate it for them. Maybe you'll lose a couple more games and Braves can climb back in this thing. We got so much to get to. Gaurav Vidoc will join us from Battery Power on SB Nation. I will talk some Braves baseball with him in about 20 minutes. When we come back, the SEC meetings are done, but did they do anything? We'll let you know next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back. Good to have you along here on 3 and Out. We'll chat with Gaurav Vidak of Battery Power on SB Nation. Talk some Braves baseball with him coming up in just a little bit. But Ben, the SEC meetings in Destin are done. And what did they decide? Well, they decided that they'll decide later. Is basically what happened. No scheduling protocols in place. Didn't even vote on a scheduling protocol. No NIL policy, no transfer portal policy. Those last two, I think most people assumed probably weren't going to get done. And Greg Sankey basically said as much. He's like, hey, anything we pass at this point, we're not going to win. It's not going to hold up to a legal challenge, i.e. when we get sued, we're going to lose. So nothing has come out about that. Transfer portal policy, I think they will. They probably just, I think, need to have more debate on what they want to do. I do like the idea of windows. You have it to declare for the NFL draft, MLB draft. Like, hey, you have to put your name in by this point, and you could take it out, but it has to be taken out of the list by this point as well. So I don't have a problem with that. I think, to me, that's a common sense thing that most people could get behind. The scheduling protocols are waiting out. Again, they don't have to wait. I don't want to wait too terribly long, but part of the holdup for this is, what is the college football playoff going to look like? Obviously, because Greg Sankey and the SEC folks are going to say, well, what's it looking like? How many teams could we get in? If we stay with 8, do we get more teams in? I don't think that's not, don't think that's not a discussion. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't matter, do we go to 9? Can we get more money with a 9th conference game? And I think that's something they want to see, as they talk with their TV partners. Hey, if we go to this 9-game conference schedule, we get more money. Well, how much more money do you want? Well, we're taking away a potential dog game, no pun intended to Mississippi State or Georgia out there. We're taking away a potential game that a lot of people may or may not have a whole lot of interest in, and we're going to do another conference game. And what we were talking about yesterday when we went with our 3 commons opponents, Ben, I think that gives you more opportunity to stack games. So every week you have very compelling matchups. I mean, every game, even the SEC, is not always going to be 100% compelling all the time. But I do think the SEC said, hey, we want to talk more about some of the things that are out there. I think there's hesitancy for a 9-game conference schedule, even though, to me, that makes sense with kind of the direction college athletics is going. If the money goes up, you got to offer me something compelling. And I know you can say, well, we're going to make our schools schedule X. Well, you can say that, but then when Northwestern State or something comes up on the schedule, you go, why'd you do that? Well, we tried. We couldn't get an agreement done. So we went with a dub. So I think there's some complexities there, but I think that one, Greg Sankey said they want to have done maybe late summer, early fall. So moving ahead, they can negotiate with their TV partners about getting that new deal done.
Yeah, I think these meetings, Kevin, was more about, just hashing out some fake beef that's going on in the media. When it comes to Greg Sankey, he's a guy that definitely moves in silence. The SEC wants to break stuff when they want to break stuff. They want to be able to say, yes, we all know we're going to be doing the scheduling protocols. It's just not going to come out of this. Why? Because if I get 14 guys, they're going to answer it 14 ways. Compared to saying, hey, I'm the commissioner. I'll tell you what we're going to do, and they're going to agree to it. They're going to just fall in line. Now, with the NIL, the transfer portal, I do like the fact that Kirby Smart initiated something. I mean, obviously, he slipped because he's still looking out for himself, saying if they want to be in or out of the conference. But Greg Sankey understands. You only get one time to get some of this stuff right. So once we say we got a protocol to come in NIL, that's going to be the lay of the land. And when sanctions come down, they're going straight to the SEC offices. When it comes to the transfer portal stuff, while it is a selfish intent when it comes to having a 2 different times, there is these players. What people are realizing is this transfer portal got 3,000, 3,500 players in. That's almost 16, 17 players per team. So I think that you want to have something to give yourself the best shot to land on the squad that you want. Because, Kev, just like I know. You talk about a guy like JT Daniels. Well, he was also a 5-star.
Right, yeah.
Right? So and he also
he's
played
the exception, yeah.
Yeah. I think that they should be focused more on the rule. It can't be, number one, there's not a lot of 5-stars in college football, period. But a 5-star quarterback that went to the USC, that went to Georgia, of course he's going to land on his feet. West Virginia, got it. What about a guy who's a 4-star, 3-star, 2-star that said, look, I'm just not going to play. It's not that I'm not good enough. These guys in front of me, it's too many guys. If I declare, I think, but they need to make more of a big deal about it. Don't just be like, oh, player X is in the transfer portal. No. The University of Georgia is going to have all the guys that's declaring to go, that's in the transfer portal is going out today. That way, boom, it's like another option. Because let's face it, some of these schools make up their team in the transfer portal. Some of these teams are saying, look, man, if I get a chance to get a former Georgia Tech, I want to get that guy, but I don't want it to be, he goes in at, he's in Georgia. So he goes in at, 5:00 Eastern time. I'm on the West Coast and I want him. Hey, man, somebody already. I think they should make more of a big. I do like having 2 different windows because if I go in the first window, now this is the crazy part though. He said February 1st. The reason why I don't like the February 1st, do February 5th. Because the first week, I want to see what y'all, don't let me transfer out and then I look at this recruiting class and it's not, and my position is fine, but I'm gone. No, let me see what you got. It's almost like, hey man.
Well, I think the coaches want it prior to signing day so they know, hey, do I need to be pursuing another guy because somebody wants to dip on me?
And I like having, listen, they talking about 2. I do like having the 2 windows. I do like that, But I also it's all about making sure these players have a landing spot because you're like, I know, Kevin. I mean, look, for a person that's been recruited, highly recruited, it is a beautiful. I'm not gonna act like it's not a beautiful place to be. It's a beautiful feeling because a lot of myths got killed. I'm my first feeling, I'm like, you ain't have to be on a good team, right? No, you good. You sure? Yeah, you good. Did I have to have the best stats in the state? No. You sure? Yeah. And then you get on there and you go, oh, there's like 50 dudes here. Yeah, but just watch. Just watch what starts happening. And the group go from 50 to 40. Then they started breaking certain people off. I mean, tight ends coach want to see you. Head coach want to see you. Offensive coordinator want to see you. Head strength coach want to see you. AD wants to meet you. President wants to meet you. Dean of students want to meet you. All right, cool. And what happens is, when you're going back home, you could take 2 guys from the same school, and they say, well, you said they did all this, did all that. I ain't do that with me. And I'm like, well, man, I go, it's like somebody saying, wait a minute, they ain't have you in the room sitting in front of Lou Holtz under the stadium? Lou Holtz at the stadium? Yeah. You ain't go up on these.
They didn't give you a leadership certificate or a winner's certificate?
Now, that's what lost me. I mean, now South Carolina was very impressive until they did that.
Was that really it?
Yeah. Well, 2 things, Kevin. This is the thing, right?
I'm not trying to go on a sidebar.
No. Think about this though, Kevin. You from Gwinnett. Gwinnett and Valdosta might as well be in 2 different plants. That's so far away from where you're from, and it's still the South, but it's different. Gwinnett is not like Valdosta. So for me, right. I'm like, well, dude, if I'm gonna do this thing, 45 minutes up the road, probably the homesickness of me, because I say this all the time, man. I've had my doubts when I was at Florida, man. It worked out and I appreciate it, but I want to be so far away that it's too far away for me to just get homesick, want to go home. Coach Pugh, the head coach of South Carolina State, who won the Legacy Bowl, not the Legacy Bowl,
Celebration Bowl
against Deion Sanders. Yeah. He's the one that picked me up and drove me to South Carolina because my parents was coming behind me. The strength coach drove me back. And I'm like, this is cool and everything, but I want to experience winning. Like, that's what South Carolina had lost every game for 2 years straight. They lost every game. Then they go to the banquet and he like, hey, listen, every one of you going to get winner certificates. I go, did he just? Oh, hell no. Like, you know what I'm saying? So for me, Kevin, it was one of those things to where, I mean, to me, like, think about this. Kevin, think about this.
I just can't, I mean, again, I'm not saying I just can't believe that at the college level you would do that. But I guess you got to do something when you're 0-11.
But that's when you realize the head coaches are the creme de la creme on the campus. Because when he said he was going to do this in the staff meeting room, you know how many people are like, he going to do what? Because it's so I just know that when coming from a guy who, look, I stayed at the same school, I just stuck it out even with different coaches and different things. I just want to make sure that these players have the best possible opportunity.
And we will make sure that Ben gets another winner certificate when it's all said and done. Now we'll come back. We'll switch gears. Going to talk some Braves baseball. Gurran Vidak, SB Nation, will join us when we come back here on 3 and Out. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on this Friday afternoon. Braves in Denver trying to win, dare I say, 3 in a row if they can get it done tonight in this 4-game series against Colorado. And joining us here to talk about it from SB Nation and Battery Power, Gaurav Vidak joins us. Gaurav, welcome, man. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's a beautiful day, and I'm off of work, and I'm here to talk some Braves baseball.
Hey, we are glad to have you. And I don't know if I said the bad words of 3 in a row for this Braves team, but what's it going to take, man? It seems like every time you see something from this team where it's like, okay, the corner's starting to get turned, then you get an inexplicable loss, errors that kind of don't make sense. What do you see with this team as to why they just really haven't been able to string together 3 or 4 good days of baseball?
It's really the magic question. I really wish I had a good answer to that. The talent is there, but then that you see, it's just like you said, there are those days where the defense just is non-existent, and they'll give up 3 or 4 runs in an inning, and then it just kind of cascades on them, and before you know it, the offense scores 6 runs, but then you're losing 12-6. It's a frustrating team, and I can definitely say that definitively. It's a frustrating team to watch right now because, again, the talent is there. You see the lineup really starting to put it together, but then a fly ball will be hit, and then 4 runs will score somehow. It's a frustrating team. Hopefully they really start to pull it together. They have luck on their side because they're playing a not very good Rockies team, but of course they did lose a series to the Diamondbacks, a not very good Diamondbacks team. They have all the opportunity in the world, especially this weekend with the Mets playing the Dodgers. The Dodgers play them well. You can make up some ground because right now it's a big gap, and you have to start, you really have to start getting into that gap as early as possible. So Braves need to, despite it being the Rockies, it's an absolute must-win game, and there's a kind of a must-win couple of games coming up against the Rockies here.
And girl, how much do you attribute to the fact that you mentioned they lost a series to the Diamondbacks? Probably wouldn't have happened in a year if they're not coming off a World Series. How much is it just everybody's going to circle the Braves this year, whether it's in division or outside the division? Everybody wants to get the best, give their best to the defending World Series champs. And how much is it just mentality right now with them trying to live up to that billing game in and game out?
It's that exact thing. I mean, we saw it with the Pirates sweeping the Dodgers, right? When a great team comes into your home, you want to beat them. The Braves are the reigning champions, so they have to expect the best from every single team out there. And if they're not ready to compete, if they're not really finely tuned in every single game, you're gonna lose them, because on the other side, it's still major league talent, no matter what. So you saw it with the Hawks, this past season, and Trae Young saying it's hard to stay focused when you make that deep run. They weren't able to get that real focus again, and it ended up costing them in the regular season, barely making the playoffs. It's all in the Braves' hands. They have the talent. Do they want to get there or not? They just need to stay focused, and they need to be able to really, really take off during this next stretch of play when they're playing, these teams that are under 500 over the next 25 games.
Yeah, Gaurav, that was, we talked about this earlier in the week on this show. The Braves were 10.5 back earlier this week, 9.5 back now. And from May 21st up until June 20th, they weren't playing a single team with a winning record. Meanwhile, now the Mets are going through a stretch of Dodgers, Padres, Angels, Brewers, Houston, some very good teams, and you haven't been able to make up any ground. At what point do you look at it and say 9 games is too much, 10 games is too much? That's an inovercomable number, and you just aren't going to be able to make up that much ground.
That's a great question. And honestly, with the talent that they're playing right now, if you're not going to close a gap of 10 games when you're playing, 25 teams under 500, I don't know when it's going to happen. So really, time is of the essence right now. They have to stay focused, and they have to come out of this spell with well above, 10, 12 games over 500 over this next stretch of play. Otherwise, you're heading into the summer days when the heat is, it's really hot down in Georgia. The games are going to be really, really sweltering. It's going to be hard to really muster up the desire to go out there and play. So I know it's a long season, but it's of great importance to really figure it out right now, because you have a window. The Braves have that window. They need to take advantage of it right now.
I remember when Ian Anderson got called up. I think it was during the 60-game season, he was able to pitch in the playoffs. And then Austin Riley has proved to be the everyday third baseman everybody thought he would be. Talk about the debut of a Michael Harris II. It seems as though every other night he's doing these out of this world catches.
He is probably one of my favorite prospects that I've covered in my entire career. He is a true 5-tool talent. And what you're seeing from him is he makes sure he makes an impact every single game. If his bat's not there, you're going to get grade A defense. And what's great is we haven't even seen his arm. Wait until you get to see his arm out in the field if he ever gets tested. He has a cannon for an arm. This is a guy who he's got every single thing you want. He's got the mental makeup. His family is outstanding. He does everything the right way. He's exactly who you want in a prospect or in a player representing your city. And while he got off to that 0-4 start, the last 3 games offensively, he's starting to get it together. And I had this conversation with Kevin yesterday. I want to put out that bold claim. Every single season when he's been promoted, it's taken about 2.5 weeks before he really gets to the level of that talent on there. So I'm going to go ahead and say by June 12th to 15th, you're going to see the Michael Harris. Again, I'm talking straight offensively. You're going to see the Michael Harris that I know he's capable of. And that's someone that's going to get on base. He's going to hit about 300. He's going to walk about 8% of the time. And he's going to hit double after double after double. This guy is a for real player. And I pray that he is on the Braves for a very, very long time.
Yeah, certainly a lot of explosiveness to couple with Acuna. And you look at that outfield right now. I know the Braves are being super careful with Acuna, but I mean, in the back of his mind, I was going to say he's pulling his hair out, but Snicker doesn't have, I don't think, any hair. How can you keep putting Ozuna out there to play defense every night?
I don't know. I wish I had an answer to that question, but really it comes down to, can you afford William Contreras somehow suffering an injury in the outfield and taking his bat away? Like, at what point do you weigh that risk? Because honestly, Ozuna should not be out there defensively. We know he's not. He's a fraction of the defender he was before, and his arm is no longer there whatsoever. It's just it becomes, how risky do you want to be? And honestly, right now, I feel the Braves need to find a way to get William Contreras' bat in there alongside Ozuna, which again, I'm not exactly how Snicker is gonna do it, but it's of great importance. Is what I really want to say. You have to get William. You have to get your best hitters on there, out in the lineup as much as possible. So I kind of foresee a stretch of play where Ozuna is going to be playing DH a lot more, and maybe he's getting on the bench some. It's not gonna be easy, but luckily I don't get paid to make that decision.
On the other end, are they being too careful with Ronald Acuna Jr.?
When it comes to Arizona, I don't think so, but that's just because I don't like playing on turf myself. It depends. I wish I could see his medicals. I wish they could play him on the field more just so you can have Ozuna on there. But at the same time, if he's missing any time, that's a massive hole in your lineup. So I would probably preach caution when it comes to Acuna.
And obviously, when it comes to a guy like Ronald Acuna Jr., they're gonna err on the side of caution. You mentioned Ozuna and him being a liability. In the outfield, where does this team find consistency? As you mentioned, they got the lineup, they got the pitching, they got the bullpen. Where can they find that consistency to hopefully go on the road to kind of keep pace with the Mets, who are definitely playing out of their mind right now?
Well, there is that. I think the Mets are way outplaying their talent level, and I think you're going to see that, especially with the stretch of play that Kevin spoke about. They have very, very difficult schedule coming up, so I think you're going to see some of that production normalize for them. As it pertains to the Braves, it's all them at this point. They got the talent. You're seeing the pitching starting to come together. You're seeing Strider hopefully stabilizing that rotation a little bit. The bullpen is a little hit or miss with a couple of key losses. But it's still strong. It's still an elite bullpen, and it still should be top half of Major League Baseball. So the talent is there. It's just now everything's got to start to click. You want to see Ozzy Albies start to get on base a little more often, because once he's on there, that elongates the entire lineup by a significant amount. So again, I wish I had the answer to that question, but the talent's there. It's really just up to the Braves. Hey, we got to make up this ground now. It's the perfect time. Let's get our act together.
Gaurav Vidak, SB Nation, Battery Power, joining us here on 3 and Out. And Gaurav, you look at, again, this team, and we've talked about it some with, you haven't been able to string together 3 wins in a row. And how much of that is just narrative? I say this a lot where it's like, hey, inside the clubhouse, they probably don't think a whole lot about it until you're this part of the season and people keep bringing it up. Like, hey, you haven't won 3 games in a row yet. And you start thinking about it. How much of that is just, can you get 3 wins in a row so we can quit talking about it and just move forward? Or do you think that's just something that we in the media like to talk about? To me, the longer some kind of minute thing like that sticks out, the more it does kind of creep in like, dang, we really haven't put together a three-game winning streak yet.
I think the longer in the season you go without that streak, the more it's going to be talked about. So again, it's really up to them. Like, this is the streak that they've done to themselves. So of course everyone's talking about it. And honestly, I hope it is in the back of their mind, because it's not something they should be proud of. Like, to be reigning world champs and not even win 3 games in a row, and you're heading into June, like, it's something that should be talked about, like I said. And yeah, I think it is in the back of their mind. And really, the only way for them to get rid of that is to just win tonight. You win tonight, no one's going to talk about that narrative anymore. And instead, it's, okay, what about the next game? What about the game after that? By then, you're talking about a nice little winning streak. So it starts today. Hopefully the Braves win and everything changes.
And finally, we talk about those Mets playing out of their mind, playing above their talent level right now with a 9.5 game lead in the division. If Snit and Alex Anthopoulos can find a way to run down these pesky Mets, and they find a way to win the division this year, regardless of what happens in the postseason, would that be their best job as a duo, even with coming off a World Series last year?
It would be wildly impressive. I think last year is going to take the crown, just especially for AA, for those moves he made, and every single piece seemed to work. But if you're able to come back from 10 games down, despite it even being June, if you're able to make that kind of comeback, and of course some of it's going to be Mets, it would still be extremely impressive, because no matter what, you're still playing Major League Baseball elite talent across the world, right? These are the best players in all of the world. So being able to come back from that would still be wildly impressive.
Gaurav Vidak, SB Nation, Battery Power, joining us here on 3 and Out. Gaurav, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Hey, we'll do. And we'll check in with you, Gaurav, coming up in a couple of weeks, see where that Michael Harris prediction is lying. I hope he continues to play well as the Braves and the Rockies coming up tonight. We've got more to come here. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great to be here on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Glad you are with us. Take 3 coming up around the corner. They got baseball going on. Well, not right now. They don't. Had a little rain and some lightning rolling through there in Statesboro. But Notre Dame and Texas Tech were underway. So I would imagine just by proxy, if you want to check out Georgia Southern UNC Greensboro, going to be a little bit later tonight after they get this thing restarted. So first regional there. Again, should be some good baseball there. And again, it's double elimination to move on to the super regional. So that's what's in front of Georgia Southern as they have to get things started later tonight.
At the end of the day, Kevin, I mean, listen, Georgia, postseason. Georgia Tech, postseason. Georgia Southern hosting theirs in Statesboro. Hey, man, a shout out to them Eagles. And I know we talked about earlier, Kevin, Jared Binko, AD for Georgia Southern out there painting. Does the weather mess up his paint? Like, man, hey, man, y'all
I would be furious.
Give me a tarp over here.
I'd be furious. I just painted.
Jared Binko is definitely in for a very, very long night. He will be the last person to sleep tonight, and that might be tomorrow morning when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night there in Statesboro, it would appear. But again, congratulations to the Eagles. Georgia playing later tonight up in Chapel Hill as they're in the UNC regional, and Georgia Tech in the Knoxville regional. They are playing Campbell, and well, it's not going good. 16-5 at last check in that ball game. So it looks like they will be headed to the losers bracket, or 15-8. Excuse me. I just got the final there. They're going to head to the losers bracket. So one more loss and they're done. It happens that quick in college baseball. So you got to be there on your toes. We got take 3 coming up around the corner. Speaking of Georgia Southern, we'll hear from Rodney Hinnon. Had a chance to talk to him earlier in the week about his ball club getting ready for this regional. That's coming up in hour number 2. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hour 2 of 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are here on this Friday. Big weekend of college baseball going on all across the country with these college baseball regionals, the postseason, the NCAA baseball tournament going on. Georgia Tech lost in their opener. They are in the losers bracket. Georgia plays later tonight, and Georgia Southern plays later tonight in Statesboro against UNC Greensboro. So we'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. Surprise, surprise, Ben. The SEC meetings are over, and all of a sudden we get a statement from the College Football Playoff Board. Who would have thought that would be coming out? We'll get to that coming up this hour as well. But first, shall we take 3 here on 3 and Out? All right, Ben, take 1. We're all eagerly awaiting training camps coming back in July, but we have mini camps going on now. Take 1, Travis Etienne. Obviously, everybody is all excited. Man, you thought the reviews were awesome for Desmond Ridder. Travis Etienne, well, he is fast. Woo! He can run.
Yes.
That's all you hear. I come. Oh, look at Travis Etienne. He can scoot. I mean, you forget he didn't get much playing time last year with Jacksonville.
Fresh legs.
So he's ready to go. But he's quoted today saying, look, hey, the NFL is all about matchups. All about matchups. He would love it if he could be like Deebo Samuel. That's a big comparison to make. I'd love it to be like Deebo Samuel. How many touches should he get each game if you're Jacksonville?
I mean, I think a guy like Travis Etienne, I could see 20 touches. I mean, both. I mean, a mixture of run and throws at him because Kevin, he is a weapon. Travis Etienne is a guy that he was able to utilize everything in his toolbox his last year in college. Was able to go out there and catch the ball out the backfield extremely well. You know what he does running the football. But I think about mouths to feed. There's only so many opportunities to go around. Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, James Robinson, right? So for me, I say 20 is more than enough because the thing about I compare him more to an Alvin Kamara than a Deebo. Deebo was the first team All-Pro at receiver. He just also did what he did in the running game. For me, Kevin, I think 20 touches because today's NFL is doing more with less. You're not going to get as many touches, not because you're not good enough, but because obviously you're coming off a rookie season the way you missed the whole season. They're going to be trying to protect you. We want a healthy Travis Etienne. When it gets cold and we got to put the ball down, take the ball out of the air and put it on the ground. But I do like his confidence. And if you are Deebo Samuel's agent, you are loving this stuff. I want as many people talking about Deebo Samuel's as possible because if A.J. Brown got $100 million and he's never been a first-team All-Pro to play for Philly, that means that Deebo is definitely going to get his cheese. But, hey, man, shout out to Deebo Samuel's making an impact because I do think a guy like when I think Travis Etienne, I think more Alvin Kamara than Deebo Samuel's. But go out there and be yourself first, Trav. Before you talk about what you want to be like, be yourself. I'm happy that you're healthy. And as Kevin said, that man's fast, man. Oh my God. I mean, can't nobody touch him. So the confidence level is there, but I want to see him back out there on the field healthy. Because if he is healthy, Kevin, and he can be what he was in college to go along with Trevor Lawrence and that big arm, to go along with Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram and Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault. They got a shot. On paper, they got a shot to be a really, really good explosive offense.
Hey, I think you kind of ease him in until you find out what is wrong. I mean, that's, again, Travis Etienne saying that's heavy expectations on oneself. Say, hey, I think I can be like Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Or as Ben likes to say,
Deebo. Whoa. I'm just saying. But this is the thing too, Kevin, right? Now, I don't like comparisons when I'm doing. And if Travis Etienne is saying, I want that type of role, well, you play running back. So you're gonna get the touches. Catching the ball out the backfield is more than just, screens these days or running a flat route. Can you get open one-on-one when they got all seams down the field as you one-on-one against a linebacker? Hey, man, you're gonna get your shot. Doug Peterson is gonna find a way to get Travis. Doug Peterson went to his garage. He said, do I drive the Trevor Lawrence today? Do I drive the Travis Etienne today? Do I drive the Evan Ingram today? Do I drive the Christian Kirk today? How about I find a way to drive them all? And on a Sunday, I'm going to drive this one 10 miles. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to drive this one 5 miles. And the thing is, everybody's young. 26, 25, 24. Young man, you got fresh legs. Slow down. Go out there, give that Jacksonville faithful something to look forward to. I think you got a shot to be really good.
Yeah, hey, I understand that. Moving along, I would say 2025, you're still going to be sharing touches with James Robinson.
Absolutely.
And it seems like, I mean, you want to go by the Falcons model, like, hey, 8. Right now, you look at isn't that what they did with
Mike Davis?
With Mike Davis and
I seen and Mike Davis with the Ravens. I'm talking about year 8. Mike Davis. If Mike Davis go out there this year and have like an 900 yard season, I'm a fly the ball.
I think Mike Davis and Cordell Patterson were getting like 8 apiece, and they would throw it to.
And like I said, Cordell shows you that. Hey man, what can you do with the touches that you have? Because if I only get Kevin 12, 13 touches and they all productive, hey man, they'll add. They'll go from 13 to 14, but they're not gonna just make you the bell cow, especially when you're coming off, a Liz Frank injury. Just get back out there, man, because as of right now, you fast. That young man is fast, but I think Doug Peterson gonna have something nice, a nice little role for Travis Etienne.
Absolutely. Hey, moving along, take 2. Boston, they beat Golden State by 12, game 1 on the road. Hey, it's not a series till somebody wins on the road. Did it in game 1 and came back shooting to 3. They kind of has been, as you said, out Golden State.
Yes.
In game 1.
Yes.
All right. Is it just one game? I know Draymond was out there saying, hey, for 3/4 of the game, we were dominating. And somebody said, well, what about the last quarter?
Come on.
Is it just one game, or are there real worries there for the Warriors?
I think it's both. I think it is just one game, but it should be worries. Because this is the thing, Kevin. People, you got veteran experience. You got Draymond. You got Andre Iguodala. You got Steph. You got Clay. Right? You got Andrew Wiggins. And then you got a bunch of youngsters. I mean, you got a bunch of young dudes in Jaylen Brown. You talk about Tatum and Company. You talk about Marcus Smart, defensive player of the year. You talk about Al Horford. Sometimes, Kevin, being young and naive is good. Because I don't like this. You guys, the moment is too big. We won the last 2 teams standing. And for the meme of the night. Listen, Twitter does not lose when it comes to sports events. Last night they had a picture of Steph Curry sitting on the bench saying we need KD, and another one said, and a Celtics fan said, "Oh, we already swept him, so we already had to deal with him and Kyrie and company." I will say this, Kevin, if you're gonna lose in anything, I don't want to lose the way I win. I don't want to lose that way because this is the thing. It would come from unlikely sources. You got to deal with Clay. You got to deal with Steph. They're going to Splash Brothers, right? Threes was raining. All of a sudden, Steph. I think he had like 30-something points. 20-something came in the first quarter. I think down the stretch, I think he had 13 points the rest of in the entire second half. And the 3-ball wasn't going. What makes the Celtics dangerous is Al Horford draining threes. Al Horford? Yeah. That Al Horford. That boy won championships in the early 2000s in college. So a lot of these boys, he's like the elder statesman on this team. So I think what it is Tatum is your superstar. Him and Jaylen Brown are one of the best duos. Marcus Smart is your defensive presence. Al Horford's supposed to be that veteran leader. He's out there getting buckets. That boy ain't got no celebration or whatever. But when he's shooting that thing, Stephanie looking like, what's going on? Oh, yeah. When the unlikely of sources is the one that you didn't game plan for beating you, that makes any team hard. And shout out to the Celtics head coach. In his first year, people thought, oh, my God, man, is he going to be in the freaking finals? Hey, now Golden State ain't going to go. Kevin, just like I know, they will not go quietly into the night. But the last thing I want to do as a older player is have to deal with a bunch of young guys who still got 10 years at least left in the NBA when I'm in the twilight of mine. Don't let LeBron fool you. Ain't nobody playing no 20 years. Y'all need to cut that out. So, but it is one game, but it is cause for concern because they said, hey man, they shoot threes, we shoot threes. Let's see who. And the Celtics trailed the whole game. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter. Look at the final score. That should be a concern.
I'm going to go the other way and say it is just one game and say, while I do think, Draymond had a maybe simplistic view at the end. Like, hey, we dominated most of the game. It got away from us. There's some things we fixed. I get it. I also think the Celtics were like 17 of 24 from 3.
Yeah.
That's not going to continue.
No.
I think that's one of those where if I'm Golden State, I'm like, look, they got otherworldly hot from 3, like really hot from 3, doing what we do to a lot of people where it's a tight game. And then all of a sudden, Clay and Steph are boop, boop, boop. And all of a sudden you're going, it was close. Now it's a 9-point ball game. And I think The Celtics, I don't see that continuing. If I'm Golden State, look, if I get beat because the Celtics are out there looking like the second coming of the Splash Brothers, I guess that's something I can deal with, and I'll try to adjust in. But I just don't see them being that team the rest of the way. All right, Ben, moving on. Take 3. We like to go to the holidays. Today is World Bicycle Day. When's the last time you rode a bike?
In a minute. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you
been
remember?
A minute. Oh, I can't remember last time.
10 years?
Probably
20 years?
No, it ain't been 20. I say 10. Kevin, and you know what's sad about that is, once again, when you grew up in the 80s, man, that's what we did.
Sure, that's what I'm saying.
Like that. Now, I will say this: the bike that changed it all was not the mountain bike. It was the old BMX that had the little gear on it. It had the little gear on it, like this.
Yeah,
it had a little, like it had like a little. And now for me and my brother, we thinking, man, we bike specialists. Let's race. Man, that boy hit that gear. And I said, wait, I just hit the gear. That thing go. But I'm kind of ashamed of myself because there are certain things that I should have never gotten away from. Riding a bike is one of them. Now, I will say this. The heat definitely makes it a little bit more challenging to get out on that bike. But when you talk about just you getting exercise and enjoyment at the same time, and it's one of those things to where, too, when it comes to my kids, they think they can outdo me and everything, which I'm going to cheat them. They're not going to beat me until I say so. But, Kevin, it's like I grew up in a time to where, BMX biking and doing tricks on bikes and ride on the handlebars and having the 2 little things you can stand up on the back of you. But 10 years, and I feel ashamed about it. I'm going to have to go to one of these department stores, see if I can find me an old Huffy. You know what I'm saying? From back in the day.
Yeah, I still got mine. Now I think my kid rides it. It's been I think about a year or so since I've ridden a bike. And I'm with you, man. I hate running, so biking is it for me, man. If I can get out on a bicycle, don't have to run, you get some enjoyment out of it. There's no enjoyment in running. Like, even people who run a lot are like, they don't look like they enjoyed it when they get to it. Like, oh, thank God it's over. Like, they do it for hell. I get it. Riding a bike can be fun. But yeah, I'm like in the day we used to build little ramps and stuff and, try to go off and jump curbs and all that kind of stuff as kids.
Out there trying to. I mean, to me, like I said, too, waking up, saying Friday night, you say, man, tomorrow, where we meeting up at? Got a whole bunch of kids come out there with a helmet on. Like, man, take the helmet off, man.
Yeah, we were in our neighborhood. We had as a kid, there was a gigantic hill, and when I say like gigantic hill, like it was pretty steep, and I'm not exaggerating. It was over. Like, if we got to the top of this thing and got your momentum going, it was probably at least over a quarter mile long. Like, it's straight down, and it bottoms out of the hill, and it went back up on the other side inside the neighborhood. So we used to get up there at the top and just say, who's going to hit the brakes first? And you'd see that bike would start going. You're like, uh-oh. And then it was, all right, now who wants to go all the way back to the top? And that was, well, that wasn't as much fun as going down.
I mean, and look, I mean, the greatest thing ever, I mean, learning how to do a wheelie, just seeing how far you can do it. We had we stayed in these apartments, we was in Swainsboro, and it's like it had like a little dirt. It's like this big old dirt pit. It was that orange dirt went down a little bit. And the thing is, you always got a kid that know how to do a little bit more tricks than everybody else, man. And I'm like, look, I wasn't a trickster. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a trickster type, but at the same time, bike riding was my thing, man. I mean, I remember when, it used to be so many bikes to where back when you didn't have to lock your bike up. You could just put it there now, please. But
you drop it in your friend's yard and then where you go.
Man, absolutely. I mean, trying to beat them street lights on, you like, and you jump over. You jump over the curb, slam the bike on the ground, run through the door. Your mom like,
about 2 more minutes, and you were going to be in trouble.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's take 3. We do it every day at this time. We've got more to come here. It is 3 and Out. Baseball going on in Statesboro. I just saw they were set to start back a little bit after 5 with Notre Dame and Texas Tech. So Georgia Southern going to be a little bit later getting started tonight there with UNC Greensboro. We will hear from Georgia Southern's head baseball coach, Rodney Hinnon, next. Here it's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. here on 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas and Ben Troop coming up this weekend. Going to be a big time in Statesboro as the Eagles set to host a baseball regional for the first time. Notre Dame, Texas Tech, UNC, Greensboro, all coming in to Statesboro. And Ben joining us here on the show here, the top of hour number 3, the head baseball coach of the Georgia Southern Eagles, 40-18 on the season. Rodney Hinnon joins us. Coach, welcome. How are you?
Oh, doing great. Doing great. Hope you guys are doing well, and I appreciate y'all having me on.
Hey, we appreciate you taking some time and joining us. I know you've been doing it a long time in Statesboro. How special is this group of guys to keep fighting and get you guys a regional there in Statesboro?
Well, you know, yesterday was a special day for our program and certainly for this group of kids this year. You know, I can't say enough about this group of young men. You know, it's just been a joy to coach these guys every day. You know, kind of the hallmark, I guess, of this group, this team is they show up every day ready to work. They play hard and compete for 9 innings, more than that, if that's what it takes, every day. And, you know, I think people that have followed us this year, you know, have enjoyed, you know, the way these guys play the game. And, you know, they've worked awful hard to put ourselves in this position. And, you know, this time of the year, this is where you want to be. You just want to have an opportunity to play your way to Omaha. And beginning Friday, you know, we'll get that opportunity. And the fact that we're able to do it here in Statesboro in front of our fans, that's pretty special.
Coach, winning 40 games is not something that happens every day in baseball, especially in college baseball. Talk about the ebbs and flows of the season. Obviously, topped it off with hosting a regional, but you talk about how your guys just come to work, ready to work every day. But 40 wins, that's a great testament to, you know, the hard work and dedication these guys put in the season.
Yeah, no question. I mean, the college season is a grind. You know, you're talking 56 games and, you know, the travel and these guys obviously balancing the demands of academics and the season itself. And, you know, we try to play a competitive schedule every year. Our league is very good. You know, I think testament to that is the fact that we've got 4 teams in the regionals this year, and our league is only going to continue to get better with some of the additions that'll begin next year. And again, outside the league, we always try to play a tough schedule. I think that prepares you for league play, and also think it gives you an opportunity to build a resume. And this year for us, I think it helped, one, the strength of our league, and also teams in our state had good seasons, and we had a strong RPI. But, you know, again, the key is, you know, being able to show up ready to play every day and being able, you know, when you get knocked down, being able to get back up. And that's one thing this team has done a great job of this year. You know, when we've dropped some tough games here or there, you know, they've been able to turn the page and you know, and bounce back. It's a very resilient group. And, you know, we were able to win 40 games against, you know, one of the more competitive schedules that we've played.
Rodney Hinnon, Georgia Southern head baseball coach, joining us here on 3 and Out. And was there a moment during the season where you thought, man, we're pretty good? We're going to have a good chance to make the NCAA tournament. And was there another moment where you thought we might actually have a chance to stay at home in Statesboro at the end of the day? Do you remember a specific moment in the season where you thought, hey, some of this stuff might be in the cards for us?
Well, you know, I'm always real careful. You don't want to get ahead of yourself too much. This game will humble you in a hurry. But, yeah, you know, I did sense that we had a chance to do some special things this year. You know, we went through a lot of adversity early in the season. You know, we opened up in Knoxville, and you know, if you would have told us on that bus ride home that Sunday when we left Knoxville we were going to be hosting a regional, I don't know how many people would have believed you at that point. But again, I think that speaks to the resiliency of this team. I mean, we came home and got a big win against Georgia Tech in our home opener. Then we lost a couple of guys that following weekend when we played a really good Central Florida team here. So we're sitting there 2-5 at that point. But then that's when we started. We had some comeback wins not long after that. I remember a home series against Miami. I think 3 one-run games in which we came back. I think in each of those games to win, and started to get a little confidence, and guys, I think started believing, and we got on a little bit of a roll, and then, we had a really tough stretch schedule-wise within our league. We had back-to-back weekends on the road at Louisiana, and then at Texas State, and I think going out to San Marcos and winning 2 of 3 games against a really good Texas State team that won 26 games in our league this year. We really, I think, got some momentum heading into the second half of the season at that point. And again, guys just did a good job of just taking it one game at a time. And, when we dropped a couple here or there, they were able to bounce back and just play good, consistent baseball, down the stretch to put ourselves in this position.
And Coach, when you talk about the ebbs and flows of the season, what was it like? Like, what is it like getting the call or realizing, look, the goal is to make it to the tournament, as we know, to get to Omaha, but what is it like knowing we're hosting a regional? I mean, that's very, very prestigious. I mean, a lot of teams, the only 64 going to make it in, to know that you're one of the hosts. Did you get the call? Did you watch it on television? What was that feeling like when you got the call saying, hey, Notre Dame, Texas Tech, they're coming to Statesboro?
Yeah, well, it's they're only 16 host sites, so that's pretty special. To be one of those, 16 hosts, no question. Actually, we were on the bus, heading back from Montgomery. We lost a heartbreaker in the championship game to Louisiana, and I know how bad our kids wanted to win that Sun Belt championship on Sunday, and it stung. And one thing about this group, they hate to lose. It doesn't matter, weekend game, midweek game, or championship game. It really hurts this group to lose. And so it was a pretty somber bus ride heading out of Montgomery. I talked to them after the game and just trying to pick them up. Hey, fellas, as bad as it hurts right now, the bigger prize is in front of us, and we've got a lot to play for. We got to turn the page. But it was a pretty somber ride home, and then the announcement came out, at 8:30 on Sunday night, and it went from somber to elation in a heartbeat. Guys hugging, slapping each other, high fives. So that was a nice shot in the arm for us on Sunday night, and the guys, they're excited about the opportunity we have in front of us this weekend.
Rodney Hinnon joining us here, head baseball coach at Georgia Southern. Where do you feel the strength of your team is now heading into the postseason?
Well, I think, looking at the regular season, I mentioned it earlier, I think we've been a very consistent baseball team, and I think a lot of that starts with our defense. We've got an older group of position players, and we've played really good defense throughout the year. I think we're fielding 982 at the end of the regular season, which is somewhere in the top 15, top 20 in the country. And our bullpen has been steady for us most of the year. And as we played, I think you've seen the bats heat up, especially the last month of the season, down the stretch. So this is the time of the year where you want to be playing your best baseball, obviously, and I feel like we've got better as the season has gone along, and we're certainly going to need to play well this weekend.
Coach, when you talk about the personality of a team, obviously you want to be playing your best baseball going into the postseason as you guys are. You mentioned, the heartbreaker coming back, from Alabama to get the news, on Sunday night. But is there a certain personality trait that you look for in a player? Not necessarily like going into the postseason, but saying, look, your team better than anybody else. And obviously being a coach, you have to read mannerisms. You have to read body language. Is there something that you see in your team to say if they're ready or not ready to play?
Yeah, every day you're watching guys. And the thing about baseball, we're at the ballpark 3 hours before start time on a normal game day, at least when we're at home. And so you're always just observing, guys, their mannerisms. And, this team, I tell you, for me this year, I've had to do very little. The best thing I've, had to do is just stay out of the way. Again, I touched on it earlier. These guys, it's a very unselfish group. All they're concerned about is winning ball games. Every day they show up at the ballpark. They're not concerned about stats. They're not concerned about draft status. They're not concerned about who gets the credit. And that's the thing that I've, as a coach, enjoyed and appreciated the most about this team. There's really strong leadership on this team. They hold each other accountable. And again, for me, I've just tried to stay out of the way, be consistent with a message throughout the year. And this team has just taken a lot of pride in competing every day. They play hard. They play with a lot of passion. And I think that's one thing that our fans have really appreciated probably most about this team is just how hard they play.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about a couple of your players, including one from our local area out of Savannah Christian, Jarrett Brown, and hit over 336 RBIs for you. Talk about what he's meant to your baseball team this year.
Well, Jarrett, he continues to develop and improve, and I talked about our defense earlier. He's as good as anyone I've ever had over there defensively at third base. He's rangy, covers a lot of ground. He's got great hands. He's got a strong, accurate arm. He comes in on the slow roller very well. So he's a big part of our defense, and he's continued to develop as a hitter. You mentioned hitting over 300. He's had some big hits for us throughout the year. Broke open the semifinal game on Saturday with a big 2-run single against Troy, and actually hit a sac fly in the championship game to give us the lead, late in the game against Louisiana. So, Jarrett works hard, and again, he's been a big part of our success and a big part of our defense in the infield.
Coach, wanted to ask you about one more aspect before we let you go ahead of the regional this weekend. And obviously, you've been around baseball long enough to know great pitching can take you a long way. How do you feel about your pitching? Look at some of the stats. I think you got 3 or 4 guys sub-3 in the ERA category. Ty Fisher, 2.87 as a starter for you. Very impressive. How do you feel about your pitching and your pitching depth as you get ready for the big weekend?
Well, I feel good going in. Ty's done a great job for us all year. We lost him for about 2 weeks. He actually took a line drive off the face against Central Florida, the Friday night game against UCF, and fractured some bones in his face. And this will tell you about Ty. The next morning, the next day he's in the dugout in full uniform. 2 weeks later, he's taking the mound in our first conference series against App State. And I can't tell you what kind of impression that made on his teammates. That toughness that he brings to our team. And, he's done a really good job in that Friday night slot, going deep for us in ball games. And, he's one of those guys, whether he's got his best stuff or not, has a knack for putting you in position and giving your team a chance to win. So he'll get the ball in the first game against Greensboro. And then Jay Thompson has been our go-to guy to the bullpen. He has the ability to bounce back and throw, on consecutive days. And, he's kind of been our anchor and our leader in the bullpen. And, a senior in Hayden Harris is a guy that stepped up here down the stretch for us, and gave us a big outing on Saturday over in Montgomery against Troy. So I feel good, about our pitching staff. And again, I think our bullpen has been pretty steady and been a strength for us this year. So, we feel good heading in.
Rodney Hinnon, Georgia Southern head baseball coach, joining us here on 3 and Out. And the regional begins on Friday. Georgia Southern hosting Notre Dame, Texas Tech, and UNC Greensboro there in Statesboro. Coach, really appreciate the time. Best of luck. Thanks so much.
Okay, guys. Appreciate y'all having me on.
Appreciate it. Rodney Hinnon joining us here, head baseball coach there at Georgia Southern. Big weekend upcoming for those Eagles, and played a lot of great baseball this year. As he mentioned, they start out at Tennessee, one of the best teams in the country, 0-3. He said nobody would have figured. And since that point, 40-15, playing some great baseball there in Statesboro. We'll come back with more. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you are with us. Thanks for making us a part of your day. So much to get to, still to come on the program. But Ben, no surprise, SEC meetings are done. And within not much time after, Greg Sankey is done, we get stories from the College Football Board, College Football Playoff Board saying, yeah, we want to make sure that we get the expansion talks back up and running pretty quickly so that we have some kind of system set in place by next summer, i.e., because when they're going to start renegotiating the college football playoff, what it's going to look like. And obviously, remember, SEC Media Days started kind of the week prior with Greg Sankey saying, hey, we're going to talk about everything, including, what if we just did the SEC playoff ourselves? What if we just did an SEC-only playoff? And a lot of people said, what are you talking about? And Greg Sankey was very upset, obviously, that they had put in a bunch of work to try to put together a coalition of people and ADs who said, hey, we want to expand this thing. They thought they were heading towards a 12-game model, and then when it came time to vote, nobody put their name to it. And everybody kind of backed out, and I think that kind of left Greg Sankey feeling some kind of way. And so going in there, and now all of a sudden SEC meetings are over, and we're going to talk about a 12-game playoff again and potentially a 16-team model. So, Ben, it seems like 12, it's going to happen. For all the out, we shut it down. No, it's going to happen.
I just think that for me, Kevin, it comes down to this. We talk about Greg Sankey, him being the most powerful, man in college sports.
Sure.
We talk about the SEC being the most powerful conference in college sports. Kevin, the college football world had all eyes on the SEC coming out of these meetings. Because they were saying, all right, what is the SEC going to do? Think about it. NIL? No. Transfer portal? No. Greg Sankey went to a meeting and he didn't walk out. We've all been in meetings before to where there's always a person in a meeting to where you say to yourself, we don't want to make this person mad. When he walked out, he went up there with Mr. Hancock. They laughed at him, man. Get out of here, man. We're gonna stick before. That's how y'all feel. Yeah. All right. What's gonna happen? Because this is the thing. But
it seems like it's not staying at 4.
No. And Kevin, look. We're going to SEC Media Days this year. We're gonna get Mr. Hancock. It's like he's contractually obligated to sit down with us, and you go, no. You know how this goes. The first question. Because he always, and Kevin, that's what it was, right? You would always ask him, first, I don't know if you give a number. Is it 6? Is it? Maybe he used to say no because he goes, no, we're not going to go 6. We're not going to go 8. We're going to go 12. Because this is the thing, right? It's about programming. It's about matchups. It's so many bowl games now that we can't, if somebody go for $1 million, name every bowl game there is.
Yeah, you can't do it.
You can't. So I think what happens is, Kevin, it's like this. You want a true representation of college football. We talked about basketball got a tournament. Baseball got a tournament. Track, if you the fastest, it doesn't matter. Football, we get 4. 4? And people go, oh, well, look at the matchup. Okay, so Michigan and Cincinnati couldn't beat Georgia and Alabama. How many teams can do that? Ohio State is good enough to do it because we've seen them do it. Clemson's good enough to do it. So what if you got, and I think what 12 does is it makes it so that, look, it's almost like we know how good you are because, Kevin, you always say this. If you're the big bad SEC, shouldn't be a bunch of undefeated teams running around, right? But I think what Greg Sankey understands is this. Perception is what we have.
Yeah.
We could throw out a bunch of, I'm going to take my ball and go home. But at the end of the day, Greg Sankey knows, look, we are stronger. We are the most powerful conference when you compare us to the other 4. But if we out there by ourselves.
Oh no, I get it. I just found it very interesting. SEC meetings are over. Hey, we're gonna discuss explaining the
of course
the college football player.
We were just gonna put that out.
Yeah,
it just happens to fall under the day after the meeting is over. And
we were waiting for our time to see if we could make that happen. Let's go to the phones here quickly. We've got AC listening to us and wants to hop in here. AC, what's up?
Well, thank you so much for taking my call. How you guys doing? Good afternoon.
Hey, we're doing good.
Perfect. Well, first of all, I want to give a shout-out to your producer, Mr. PJ. Well, you're doing a great job, brother. Keep it up. So there goes a shout-out. shout out to the boys, of course, doing the show. Hey, you got to appreciate, man. You cannot just call the show and say whatever you want. So first, you got to show appreciation. Thank you so much for taking my call. It's a human interaction. I'm going to make it simple as possible. My question is, where do you see Urban Meyer coaching in college? Let's face it, guys. He did not do anything in the NFL, but record shows he's perfect 1-0, undefeated in the nightclub.
Hey, see, look, I'll be honest. I do not see Urban Meyer coaching in college because where does Urban Meyer want to go? I don't see Urban Meyer as a guy, and Ben, I could be wrong, but there are certain coaches when they get to the end of their career, like, okay, I was away and I'll do the Gus Malzahn thing where I'll go to a Central Florida. Okay. Why? Because a lot less stress. They're paying me my money. Urban Meyer wants to go where he can win a championship. Well, how many programs does that consist of right now? What, about 6? I don't think any of those are going to be looking for coaches anytime soon. If they are, I don't think they're going to hire him. So I'm going to say he won't.
I could agree more. I think at the end of the day, AC, look, while I can appreciate the fact that Urban Meyer is still a big name as far as the college ranks, but this is the thing. It passes all of us by. You're only as good as the last time we saw you. You got to build on momentum. And as you mentioned, Kevin, Florida, he did his thing. Ohio State, he did his thing. So he wanted to be on one of the biggest brands in whatever division he was in. Ohio State, they're not welcoming him back. He's not going to go to Michigan. Florida, they ain't welcoming him back. He's not going to go to Florida State. Georgia, nope. So as far as like a brand, there's not a brand out there that's going to be willing to say, look, man, you scared us to death of what we just saw you do. Like, I was willing to forgive what you did at Ohio State because at least you got a winning track record. I was willing to forgive what you did in Florida because you had a winning track record. What you did in Jacksonville, wow. And now, Kevin, it becomes, I don't want to be that team to bring.
And I would say what you did in Jacksonville off the field as well as on the field, as you said.
And listen, in a world that's gravitating away from, he will still be, the creme de la creme on campus, but you start saying to yourself, is it worth what we got to deal with just to bring him in? Do we want to win that bad? And the thing about it is if it's going to 12, we don't need him. Like, think about it. If it's going to 12 teams, well, we don't really need Urban.
Speaking of winning in the club, you open the club up to more teams to get in there. I agree.
Man, Urban Meyer's on the phone, man. Tell him I'm not here.
Yeah, we got to step aside. We'll come back. I want to continue the conversation about that about the playoffs expanding and what that could mean for college football, because now that's reopened, I think SEC flexed, and now all of a sudden we got to get this done by next summer. We got more to come. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out on this Friday. Again, if you are unable to listen constantly, hey, you can listen to us or watch us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel at ESPN Coastal, and you can catch the show. You can catch Second Down there as well. If you missed the show altogether, you can go back and watch the replay. Plus, you get to see Ben and myself. That is, I mean, has there ever been a finer looking pair of guys doing a radio show than the two of us?
Nope.
Come on.
Not unless our dads did some radio and we ain't know about it. I mean, that's about the best I can give. Unless I'm asking my dad when I got on the show, did you and Kevin's dad do a show? Like, yeah, we did a show, And so
the second best looking guys to do the show. No, look, we got so much more to come in the final hour. But if you missed the show, ESPNCoastal.com, at ESPN Coastal, find us there on Twitter as well. And you can catch what you missed or watch us live there on our YouTube channel. We're coming right back. One more hour to go here. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Final hour here of 3 and Out on this Friday as you get ready for a big weekend. Braves and Rockies coming up later tonight. Dare I say, going for 3 in a row, as I've said many a time before today, Ben. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. The SEC meetings have ended in Destin. No real changes coming out of that. They're going to keep talking about it, but what could it mean if they do change? They're going to have to change the scheduling protocols, obviously, because of 2 teams coming in, but who does that benefit when you ditch the divisions? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Ben, as we said, look, the College Football Playoff Board issued a statement today saying, look, we want to come out, we want to get the discussions about expansion ramped back up. Okay, so we couldn't come to an agreement on 12. Now we're about to start it back up, and they want something done by next summer. Why? Because the summer after that, the contract is up, right? So we have to get something moving in the right direction. A lot of these conferences, SEC want to know what the deal is, certainly with expanded conference. Hey, we have 16 teams. I'm sure Greg Sankey said, hey, we got 16 teams. We're going to end up with, I mean, off the top of my head, Ben, 8-9 teams in the top 25 potentially, depending on how this thing plays out. How many we get in there? How many can we get in there? We're going to talk about that. And it's not going to be, if you stick at 4, again, we said from the beginning, that just doesn't work to me. If you're going to keep this together as the Power 5 conferences and the G5, and Notre Dame's going to do their own thing, that's 4 slots for 5 power conferences plus Notre Dame plus everybody else. When the SEC gets 2, all right, start cutting up the pie. You figure it out. If we ordered a pizza, Ben, and we got here and I said, hey, here's a pizza for the office. Oh, I'm going to take half of it, and the rest of y'all can have what's left. I mean, y'all going to be sitting there looking at me going, how do I get another slice? Well, how you get another slice? You add another pizza, right? Mm-hmm. You add more. So I think that's what is going to happen. I mean, Greg Sankey, I never heard much serious discussion coming out this week from Destin about, hey, would we go it alone? I think that was just a veiled threat. And again, it's comical to me. As soon as the SEC meetings were over, you get a story out there saying, yeah, we're going to ramp it up to expand this thing to 12, i.e. Greg's mad. Everybody, we should have listened to Greg when he said we wanted 12. And I think he was rightfully so. A lot of, I think the Mississippi State athletic director came out and said, look, we thought we had a consensus building towards moving this thing to 12. And then at the end, everybody who said they were on board voted no.
Yeah.
And so you go, wait a minute. You said you were with us, and now it comes time to put pen to paper and you say no. I think at the end of the day, we're going to get it. We're going to get an expanded playoff. He said, look, there's going to be a 16-team model. I think that's probably too much. But again, I will argue with the folks who say that, hey, it waters down college football. I'm sorry. You have 2 very important games in the postseason. We have bowl games, and people are like, oh, I love bowl games. I do. You know what I would love more? More games that matter in the postseason. I don't care about the every game matters in the regular season nonsense, because that's not true. Mm-hmm. When more teams have a chance to make it to the postseason, more games matter. Again, there's a reason why MLB and NFL and NHL and the NBA have all gone into, hey, can we expand the postseason? Is it because they're like, hey, we want to diminish the regular season? No. It means more teams, more fan bases have a reason to watch us in the regular season if we are competing to get in the playoffs. The end. And so in college football, again, as Ben has said, we have 130 teams. We're talking about 12. It's not the end all, be all, going to kill college football. No. And let's face it, the BCS killed a lot of bowl games in terms of interest. The college football playoff, I think, pretty much punched them right in the face. Because if you go to bowl games, I mean, what's the first thing you hear? Oh, man, it's the Outback Bowl for like the 3rd time in 5 years. Oh, man, we're going to there again. It's and fan bases have gotten, quite frankly, and I know that's not the point. You get these forced ticket buys, but have you seen the actual physical show up attendance to some of these things? It's rough. So I think for the most part, bowl games are nice, but they're exhibitions. They don't matter. And I think if you're going to tell the average college football fan, hey, if we just did away with several bowl games and had more playoff games, would you be in favor of that? I think most people would. Why? Yeah. Because most people at the end of the day don't care about the Independence Bowl. Does it have a long-standing tradition? Yes, it does. Do people care about it now? No. Why? Because it's ACC 6 against SEC 7 and teams that are 6-6. And again, that's just I'm not saying that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
If we want to hand out exhibition games at the end of the year, fine. I don't care. I mean, we've made a mockery of it anyway with 5 and 7 teams getting there. Play as many as you want. But I do think expanding the playoffs, you see it right now. Meetings are over. Within the hour, boom, we're talking about expanding playoffs again. You don't think Greg Sankey had something to do with that urgency? So, Ben, I think it's headed that way. We're going to see more teams in. Why? Because I think more teams playing in a playoff generally is a good thing. I think there is a tipping point, like we've seen in some sports, like the NBA. I'm sorry not to go on a monologue here, where you can say, okay, it's over half the league. Well, I mean, we're talking about 10%. Not even 10% of college football would get into the playoffs. So I think you look at it with other sports, it's the chase, it's the get me there. The NFL playoffs. Were the Cincinnati Bengals the best team in the league last year? Were they the second best team in the league? But they got in, and we got to see, playoffs happen, games that matter, and people tuned in. Now, if we'd have had Tampa Bay and the Rams, or Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and Cincinnati, and I don't know, Kansas City, and then we said, hey, and the Atlanta Falcons and the Jags, they get to play on January 3rd. What are they doing? They're just playing. You would look around and go, what are we talking about? And I think that's where we're at with college football. We're starting over the last few months to treat everything like big business. NILs. I mean, I think we've been treating it like big business anyway, but now it's like, hey, players are getting deals. Are players getting compensated? Can we do something for all the players? Can we do this? Nobody is really cracking down on it. Why can't we just have an expanded playoff? And again, I think, to me, the way this is headed, Ben, if I'm a fan, okay, I get to go to the Outback Bowl, or it used to be the Citrus Bowl, or whatever, again. And if we're not in the playoffs, hey, I'm Tennessee, we're going to Jacksonville again for the Gator Bowl. No, I'm saying, but you see a lot of teams go to the same 4 or 5 bowl games. And it's like you're going there again versus, hey, there's 2 weeks left. We're not going to win the SEC. We could be the 12 seed. You don't think that creates more interest?
Absolutely.
I think it does. And again, I don't see how it's going to ruin anything to give us more than 3 games at the end of the year that matter. If you want to argue conference championship games or elimination games, fine. We don't treat them that way. Everybody, Ben, I'm on the soapbox here, but we don't treat them that way.
No.
Georgia lost to Alabama. Did it matter?
Nope. It's already predestined.
So, I just look and say, I don't see the point. We love the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
There's not but about 6 teams that are probably good enough to be standing at the end, but we love it. And there's 64 teams in there, because that's the one drawback, Ben. You always hear, oh, so-and-so. I mean, come on. Utah can't win the national championship. I don't care about that. It's a win or go home. The pressure's on that other team. If Utah can't win it, go beat them.
Of course.
And so I think that's why we love it. I'm sorry.
And no. But you make a great point. The thing about it is this: the variety creates parity. When you're talking about college athletics, football is the only sport. We're talking about Georgia Southern hosting a regional. Why? Because they won their conference, and it's baseball. It's either
they didn't win their conference. They earned it through.
They came up one game. I mean, they
earned it through the RPI exactly. And all that. Yeah,
but they hosting a regional. That's really when you showing. Look, man, we ain't showing favors, man. We awarding really, really good teams, right? 64 of them. Basketball, we awarded 64 teams, right? When you talk about track, every other sport. Football, 4. That doesn't make any sense. In the state of Georgia, we got what? 7 different districts in football. Only 7 teams gonna win it, right? But everybody knows, hey man, we in this district. We know we got to run the gauntlet, right? So while it doesn't seem fair, it really is. You got your regular season. If you're good enough, you make it to the postseason. Anything can happen. 12 teams in college football should be standard. When you talk about the conferences, you talk about geographically, you talk about awarding teams, like you said, Kevin. Look. Yes, right now the SEC is getting half of the pie. A lot of hungry people in these meetings. It's a lot of conferences saying, wait a minute, man. Like, we don't mean nothing over here. And think about 2021. The 2 teams not named Alabama and Georgia. It wasn't Ohio State. It wasn't Clemson. It was Michigan and it was Cincinnati. Now, Michigan finally beat Ohio. So Michigan got in because they finally won the Big Ten. They finally beat Ohio State, they get in. Cincinnati had to go undefeated. No, Cincinnati had to lose to Georgia the previous year, right? And beat Notre Dame the next year and go undefeated. I just think that when you think about college football, you want parity. Now, when Nick Saban was talking about parity, I don't think he was talking about 12 teams, but that's what he should have meant. Because, Kevin, when you think about it, you got 5 P5s. And only 2 of the P5s got in 2021.
Right.
Only 2. So it used to be
the rest
3.
of them are holding their hand out
Exactly.
going, where's my
so
cut?
And what it does too, man, you get automatic qualifiers, right? I mean, you get automatic bids. But it's 12. If I'm going into the college football season and I'm saying 12 teams are getting in, what?
Sure.
Now, I'm not saying that it makes football better, right? It makes the games better. It don't mean that they're going to
I don't think it makes it worse.
It doesn't make it worse, Kevin, because at the end of the day, right, I'm going to say this, and I know people don't like this. It really doesn't matter who win the Natty because we know how it's going to end right now. It's like we open up this book in 2022 as if to say it ain't going to be some form of Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State team the 14.
Yeah, Clemson, Notre Dame.
Right. So but what happens is, Kevin, like you're saying, if you go into a tournament, right, and they say, hey, listen, man, we got 100 teams at this tournament. Yeah, only 2 make it. Only 2 gonna make it to the what? Only 2. So 98 of us are irrelevant. Just no. That's not how it goes. So I do believe that but the SEC did, Greg Sankey did what the best conference in college football is supposed to do. I'm supposed to use threats to get our way. I'm supposed to say things like, all right, we're going to just break off, say all kind of stuff. Because I mean, look, deniability is on the side of Greg saying, what do you mean? No, I just said we're going to, when I said break off.
So we're going to talk about it.
Because what happens is, Kevin, he's saying this, look, man, while I got 14 teams, soon to be 16 teams that I'm in charge of, I want college football to know y'all can count on us to do for y'all. Meaning, if I'm the only one in the room being laughed out the room and I got 2 teams in with 4, I'm getting 2 teams in. When I help us get, when I help us add, 8 teams, I'm going to need the other 4, commissioners to say, hey, I'm going to need the G5, the P5 to stand on behalf of the G5. But he's saying, look, man, how are we going to let the NCAA bully up? They don't got we are all they got. But the parity in college football needs to change because if with the NIL and all this other type of stuff, if I'm player X going to school X, I'm saying, dude, outside of the money and hopefully get into the league, we're not going to the postseason. USC used to dominate. They play on Fridays when they play UCLA, right? So it is true, yeah. So all I'm saying is, Kevin, it's like this: Penn State ain't getting in without it. USC probably ain't getting in without it. I mean, remember Minnesota had a really, really good year? They're not getting in without no expansion because this is half the branding and what they think. You got to pick 4 out of 130. It was really more than 130 this year because Cincinnati ain't even P5, that's G5. So it's really 260 because you got 130, 130. So I do think that, and this is the thing, 12 really out of 260 still ain't a lot. That's really not. But I think 12 is a hell of a lot better than 4 because for those people saying, oh, man, see, 4 was the right number. No, 4 is the number we have. Don't say 4 is the right number. Yeah. 4 is the number we have because I guarantee you.
I mean, I do think there's a point where it gets to be too much, but I don't want a 64 team.
No, it can't be a 64.
Yeah.
But I do. But think about it, Kevin.
Oh, there's people that are out there crazy enough to say that kind of stuff.
12 out of 130 is not a lot. Like, if we go into a tournament, it's 130 teams. Hey, only 12 y'all gonna get in. What? 12. They get to look around.
Yeah.
So I do like the strategy of Greg Sankey, what he's done. Him saying we're gonna use our leverage, we're gonna use our bully, tactics to kind of get our way. But Mr. Hancock knows, hey, time is ticking because 2025 is right around the corner, and now 2 of the biggest brands is coming over to the SEC now again. So they're not. So now they got the whole state of Oklahoma. Sorry, Oklahoma State, and they got the whole state of Texas because you got UT. So I just think that Greg Sankey's doing the right way, and I knew that. And like I say, maybe if I get 12 in, now all the commission can come together and say, all right, dude, we got to agree on the NIL. We got to agree on it. Not just me. This is what we said, because the NCAA, just like the SEC, Kevin, nobody wants to be the one saying this is what we want to operate.
Nobody
but
wants to.
you're going to have to pick something eventually.
Yeah, nobody wants it. We'll talk about that. The SEC meetings wrapped up. What did they decide, and who maybe benefits once we get to non-divisional play in the SEC? We'll discuss that next. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We're streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com, 912-342-7184. You can join us, 912-342-7184. Who does benefit the most once we break up divisions in the SEC? Love to hear from you. It's 3 and Out. Great to be here. SEC meetings are over in Destin. And Ben, what happened? Not much.
No,
whole lot of not much. A lot of talking about things that could happen. Obviously, we know the NIL policy non-existent for the SEC. Some talk that the SEC looked at making a inter-conference policy, like just for the SEC. But Greg Sankey coming out and saying, "Look, anything we've come up with would, if we got sued, we would not win." So obviously, that, and I think that's where a lot of this stuff is dead on arrival. Been with a number of things involving NIL. That, as you said, nobody wants to be the person to put it out there, because if they get sued, they may not win. The transfer portal, we saw some suggestions. Kirby Smart threw some out there I thought were pretty meaningful. Hey, have some dedicated windows for guys to throw their name in the transfer portal. And then when it came to scheduling, nothing. Talked about a number of scenarios. But Ben, I think until Greg Sankey probably has a better feel for what's going to happen with the college football postseason, I think they're kind of at an impasse. Now, he said they want to have something more concrete in place by the end of the fall, or by the into fall, so that they can move forward, obviously discuss with TV partners. But I think I heard one AD say from the SEC, look, we don't just want to go out there and do something so we can have something. So it'll be quick and done and over. They want to do it the right way. But I think if you know that there's a good probability of you having X number of teams and then expanded or in a college football playoff, if it doesn't expand, then you're probably not going to go past 8 games, right? You're not going to make the SEC bigger. If you know that in an expanded college football playoff, strength of schedule plays a big role, you have a better chance, then yeah, you might lean more towards the 3+6, 9-game conference schedule. Also, if you kind of get more heat on that, talking to your TV partners, if they're willing to give you more money for more SEC games, you might be more tempted to lean towards a 9-game conference schedule. I like a 9-game conference schedule. To me, you get a truer representation, especially if you're going to go 16, truer representation of who the best teams are in the league. So that 3 common, 6 rotating, I like it. Divisional play would be done. Who benefits from that, Ben? From there being no divisions, it's just, hey, instead of us having to win the East, us having to win the West, we just need to be one of the top 2 teams, as it would appear now. You need to be one of the top 2 teams in the SEC. We'll play for it. And then obviously, if you're playing for the SEC championship, no matter what format you're under, you're going to have a chance to move on and play for a national championship. Who benefits, you think, from divisions going away in the SEC?
Texas A&M. I think sometimes when you look at the gauntlet of Texas A&M, they've never been in Atlanta. They never won the West. Well, they got to run the gauntlet. They got to beat LSU, got to beat Alabama, got to beat Auburn, got to beat Mississippi State, got to beat Ole Miss. And sometimes you just run out of gas with that, and then the crossovers will be a Florida, crossovers will be a Georgia or Tennessee. Texas A&M will benefit. I think another team that's going to benefit, because I don't think, it's probably going to be a Florida right now, a Tennessee, because I think sometimes, Kevin, we get enamored with the fact that when's the last time a team in the college football playoff didn't was the top 1, top 2, top 3, top 5 in recruiting? So this benefits a good year. I'm gonna tell you the team is really gonna benefit the most. It's gonna be Arkansas. Sam Pittman has done a hell of a job at Arkansas. Sure. But the problem is, he's winning 8 games. Like, I remember when Arkansas didn't win a game in the SEC. Yeah. Now they're winning 8. They're going 8-4, 9-3. And Kevin, what it really, really does too is if it's 12, right, getting in, does it matter who goes to Atlanta now? It's almost like you saying, look, we've never seen what it'll be like. People always say, oh, Georgia and Alabama, Florida, the LSUs, they travel. Every team in the SEC travels. Could you imagine if Texas and Texas A&M are in the freaking SEC championship game? You know how crazy Atlanta's going to be? So I do think it's going to be the teams that are fighting for second and third place in respective divisions now that's going to get rewarded. You take last year. Now, Jimbo and come to beat Alabama. Just imagine there's no divisions. I just beat Alabama. And Kevin, it's something you say too. The whole notion of the SEC, it just means more. Oh, if there's no divisions, every game, the regular season is going to be serious. Because now it's about who's going to Atlanta and positioning. Hey, man, you ain't top 2, top 3. You ain't even going to have a shot to be, one of the 12 teams. But I do think, the teams that are coming up. I mean, Florida was making a resurgence under Dan Butler. Maybe a guy like Billy Napier benefits from that. You see what Coach Heupel is doing at Tennessee. Oh, my God. You see what Lane Kiffin is doing at Ole Miss, right? Because what happens now I really am a player away. I'm a quarterback away. I'm a year away from making this thing do what it's supposed to do. And that puts more pressure on the teams like Georgia and Alabama because they get to say, whew, like, man, I just don't got it 1 year. Like 1 year, this team was just better than us. Now, we didn't go to Atlanta, but we still get a chance to be in. So I think it makes the SEC more of a true barometer because you go back to the Jadeveon Clowney years, 11-2, 11-2, 11-2. What if there's no divisions? They got a shot to go in Atlanta and really, really making some noise. I just think that we get so enamored by I'm sorry. Georgia is a huge brand. Alabama's a huge brand, right? So's Tennessee, right? South Carolina ain't the brand of a Tennessee, but if I'm gonna tell you who really benefits, just to throw it all the way, Kentucky. Because think about it, Kevin, they went 9-3 not too many years back, right? A guy like Coach Stoops, the brother of Bob Stoops, Mark Stoops. Kentucky is a basketball school. Let's call it what it is. Ain't nobody going, but if Kentucky has an outlier year, now they got Will Levis. Now they got, Rodgers that come. They got a running game and a passing game. Will Levis is supposed to be a freaking.
Yeah, you got Chris Rodriguez.
Chris Rodriguez, I'm sorry. Yeah, and I think what happens is, Kevin, the goal is to reward Wake and Pitt. Clemson has a down year. Wake, Pitt, they got it going on. They meet each other in freaking Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. The SEC, until something changes, the powers that be gonna always be the powers that be. And how much more does that really change recruiting? Okay, we really got a shot now? Yeah, really. Yeah. Well, you don't got to go to Georgia and Alabama. I don't know. That's going to make recruiting more even. It doesn't mean that Georgia and Alabama's not going to be in the top 5.
Sure.
But
I just think like I said, I think it opens things up for some certain teams.
It benefits it benefits the Ole Miss, it benefits the Kentuckys, it benefits the Texas A&Ms, because Kevin, you know just like I know. If nothing changes, look, Florida can go out there and have a really, really good recruiting class. They got a shot to go to Atlanta. We've seen it as of recent. Florida has been in the SEC championship game last 2 years, right? And Georgia, outside of Georgia beating Alabama, Florida has played Alabama better than Georgia has, even though Georgia beat them in the national championship game. But that's minus both of your starting receivers. I'm just saying, when I'm looking at the SEC, right, I will start thinking that the SEC is only 2 teams if I only keep seeing 2, and that's not necessarily the case at all. In a situation where Nick Saban is saying, I don't really need Atlanta. I just do it because that's the requirement these days. I think what it is, Kevin, I want to see what the league is top to bottom. And I think you take away divisions, you're going to get more of a barometer of what it is, because as you mentioned, it shouldn't be a bunch of undefeated teams, one-loss teams.
Well, I mean, I think you look at, like you said, like Texas A&M, hey, I beat Alabama, had another slip up. Well, at the end of the day, if you come down to it and it says, hey, we both got one loss, or we both have one loss, it might come down to a head-to-head situation where I can go and we would play, or maybe you play each other again, depending on how you get to those two. But I think to do that, you need to play more conference games. So I think if you're going to do away with divisions, I would like to see 9 conference games. I think as big as the power conferences have gotten, I would like to see 9 conference games become standard, just because I think I want to see you play each other more to get a true barometer of who the champion is.
Well, that's what anybody you ain't. Look. I care about parity, not the Nick Saban parity.
No, but
at the same time, too, Kevin, think about this. Once again, I'm in the SEC, right? I'm in the SEC. I shouldn't have to go to school X to say, and because I will say it, everybody wants to have the greatest thing about pro sports is, whether it be naive, the greatest day is open day of the year.
Sure,
because we all got a shot. We all got a shot to get in the playoff. We don't know. The best teams are going to be good teams again. But who's going to be that team that's been getting better over the years? We just haven't noticed it because they bottom feeders or they're not going to be in the playoffs. Cincinnati showed that, look, man, you get the right guys around, guys. Things can happen once you get in the freaking show. You talk about the SEC, Texas A&M, we the number 1 recruiting class in the country before we even get rid of the divisions. If you're talking about Tennessee, we finally got a guy in Hendon Hooker in there, and we had the second best. We had the I think we had the second best record in the East last year, right? I just think that certain teams are situational changes away, not players away. Because how the situation is it's constituted right now, it ain't built for them. It's almost like Kevin, look, your son plays up in baseball. No matter how well he plays, you forget the fact that, man, he's younger than them, right? He's good enough to do that, but he's the youngest one out there. But you got him pitching the guys who But at the same time, if he's out there with his age group, that's more of a true barometer. I'm good enough to play up, but I'm also good enough to play with my age group. And I think what happens is right now, you got a bunch of teams without these divisions. It's like they playing up. It's like that's. I mean, with the division, without the divisions, I just think it opens it up to something.
And I wouldn't say this was the case last year because I think Alabama and Georgia were the two best teams. But to me, there have been years where you could look at it and say the two best teams were in the West or the two best teams were in the East. We have to go back farther to say that about the East. But without divisions, you just give me the two best teams. And again, I think it makes a lot of games matter. It gives teams second chances. You're going to beat up on each other when you do that. Again, you can't sit back and say, "Oh, it's just going to be 9-0." But I think you're going to get the two best teams you possibly have to play each other for the championship.
My senior year, we went 8-5, but it was a three-way tie for the East. Us, Tennessee, and Georgia tied for the East in 2003. Tennessee, I think, ended up going to the SEC championship game that year because Tennessee beat us. We beat Georgia. I think Tennessee had like the head-to-head, I think, against Georgia that year. Now, think about if there's no divisions. Now, obviously, Tennessee's going to Atlanta. Cool, man. Y'all going to win the SEC. But I think three teams are going to get in. I just think that listen, if I got a real opportunity to get in and I didn't get in, that's cool. But if I got this fake, of course you can get it. Come on, man. Like that, to me, I think it kills the perception of this thing, Kevin. It makes it more of a reality. They're going to have to get rid of it. And like I say, for two reasons. One, the college football playoff, and two, Texas and Oklahoma. That's going to make things totally different when they come over.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just look at it and say, do you want to create a scenario like the ACC where you wanted Florida State and Miami to play each other so badly in the championship game, and it's never happened?
Mm-hmm.
Texas and Oklahoma, I think you don't want to come in under a system and say, hey, Texas and Oklahoma, you're in. And, I mean, it may take a while anyway, but I mean, they never have a chance to get to the SEC championship game for one reason or another. No divisions, I think, going to be interesting for a number of teams, and it may actually help the teams not named Alabama. I mean, those teams are Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia. That I guess some of the kind of general names that people would throw out there as having a shot. I think, as you said, Texas A&M might be a team that would benefit greatly from there not being divisions in the SEC. We got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
scary about this game is bigger than the fact that obviously the Celtics told the Warriors, we're gonna outdo you guys in what you do. Jason Tatum had 12 points. The superstar Jason Tatum had 12 points, and they still won the way they did. That's what's scary about them. I mean Udoka, the head basketball coach for the Celtics. Got to give him a lot of credit, man. I mean, this is his first year as a head coach. Obviously, when he become head coach, people say, is he ready? But I think he is. And Kevin, it's you think about a guy like Al Horford, man. Been in the league a long time, really understands how to be a true team player, does what's needed when needed. Had to guard Giannis, had to guard KD. So he's up for the challenge. And I think if you are the Warriors, it is just one game. Draymond Green had 4 points. I want to say Klay Thompson had 15. So two scores, even though Draymond ain't considered score.
Does Draymond care?
Draymond is more of a facilitator, defensive presence, the heart and soul of the team. But Kevin, I think when you think about this Celtics team, is they saying to themselves, look, man, we're not just happy to be here. Marcus Smart, defensive player of the year. I mean, first guard to win defensive player of the year since who? Gary Payton. Gary Payton presenting. They have the thing about the Celtics is kind of similar to what I say. The greatest team has the best role players. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, that's our superstars. That go our Batman and Robin. Even though now Batman didn't really show his best last night. Jaylen Brown pick him up. Al Horford, just the consummate pro, man. The old wily vet that come in and give you whatever's needed.
He does feel like he's been in the league 117 years.
I mean, the fact that
you went to college with Al Horford.
No, almost. I'm not that much older than Al Horford. I think so. I think Al Horford was born in like 85. I'm born in 82. So we was overlapping. But I think what happens is, Kevin, that's the thing about sports. We grow to expect, the guys that's been here the longest. Steph, and this is finals, I think, number 6 for him. Trying to go for that coveted number 4, trying to get that MVP. Now, Steph led all scorers of 34 points. He had 23 in the first half. I think 21 in the first half. I think he had 13 down the stretch. 13 points in the second half, and you lost by what? Over double digits? It is one game, right? It is one game. But this is what the Celtics really showed the world and the Warriors. We are not scared of y'all. Everybody knows when you play on the road, you got to steal one. They stole game 1. It's much easier to now. I'm not saying they're gonna come out and just lay an egg in game 2, but that's the first game. That's the first NBA Finals in San Francisco in Chase Arena, right? I think what I saw the most about the Celtics is, Ime Udoka, their head coach. They've taken on his persona, right? Tatum, superstar. Brown, incredible player. Marcus Smart, defensive player of the year. Al Horford, consummate pro. They found a way to get it done, and this is the thing. When Steph's sitting, Steph goes, how many threes they hit? They don't shoot threes, right? That's us. We the Splash Brothers. That's what we do. Kevin, it's like this. If I outdo you on your home floor at what you do, that's when you go, yeah, we here. And regardless of what happened with the series, but very, very impressed by the Celtics. Kevin, like it is. Steph Curry is a first ballot bona fide Hall of Famer, the greatest shooter we ever seen. But you are what you do currently. And if he don't win it, it won't be because he didn't play well. It's going to be just like LeBron. Oh, couldn't get it done. Right, wrong, indifferent. If Steph loses, that means he would be able to lose to LeBron. He'll be able to lose to Kawhi and company. And Jason Tatum. If it happens, it's only one game. I'm not going crazy. I'm not going.
You can go crazy on Monday if it's 0-2 going back to Boston.
Kevin, at the end of the day, certain things. LeBron winning to Cleveland, iconic. When you Eli Manning winning with the New York Football Giants, iconic. If Jason Tatum and company can win and you talking about iconic? Love Ray Allen, love KG, love Paul Pierce. They won it with the Celtics. Like, that's why everybody. So at the end of the day, you know how it is, Kevin. The Lakers and the Celtics, and I'm sorry, Knicks fans, it ain't happening. It's just a different type feeling when you talk about those type of iconic type teams. But hey, man, the Tatum and company can get it done regardless of who get MVP. They're gonna be looking at Steph and them saying, dude, is this passing the torch? Because y'all got all y'all players. Andrew Wiggins, Andre Iguodala. Great performance game one. I just think that they did it. That they beat the Warriors. As you said, the Warriors got out-warriored at home. And they're going to make our first game adjustments, but so are the Celtics. We'll see what happens because I don't think Tatum going to give us 12 points game 2.
Yeah, game 2 coming up on Sunday nights. They get a lot of extra days off here in the NBA Finals. We'll have game 2 for you coming up on Sunday night. Much more to come when we come back. Braves and Rockies. Not even going to say it. It's 3 now. Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back. Braves and Rockies coming up. Game 2 of 4. We'll have it for you 7:25 tonight. I'm not going to say what could happen.
Let's do it.
But you got Max Fried out there.
Max Fried, let's do it.
You got some thin air.
Come on.
You got a lot of grass out there.
No pressure.
And the baseballs like to fly out of there. Again, between the two teams last night, you scored, 19 runs. That's all I'm going to say.
Come on, Braves, man. Like, listen,
it's as easy as one.
Y'all got Kevin not afraid to say certain things, man. And Kevin, listen, I will say this. Listen, Braves, obviously you control it night in, night out. Plate appearance in, plate appearance out. I get it inning in, inning out. Just play loose. Ronald Acuna Jr. You got it. Ozuna needs to be in the DH. Acuna needs to be, he needs to be in the lineup. Because Kevin, you won me over. It's hard to watch Ozuna in the outfield. Lord, I mean, to be so skilled at the plate, you be like, what is up? Like, he don't supposed to be there. Someone Big Papi is going to
it's not like I said. I think when you watch Marcell Ozuna play outfield now, you realize, hey, it's hard to do. Not anybody can do it. You're like, well, they're just catching fly balls. Like,
yeah.
It's a little more involved.
Listen, you judging that ball get on you quick.
But I mean, it's obvious, and he does not have a strong arm. Like we've seen people will run on him all day long. But again, I think you need Acuna out there as much as possible. Michael Harris has been a tremendous asset. And we had Gaurav Vidak on earlier saying, look, wait until about the June 15th mark, and he should really start to come into his own. And you could see a big takeoff there.
Mr. Double, hitting doubles all over the park. We'll take it.
Again, people were excited about it. Nobody thought it was going to happen as quickly as it did. He's here and he's performed.
21 years young, people.
I mean, you got Acuna is not much older than that, right? He's like 20. No, I think Ronald's like 22.
Wow.
So you got some young guys on there.
We'll take them young 20-somethings. Take them all.
Got those fresh legs out there.
Listen, Max Fried, get out there and get it done. Get him some runs. Listen, get through those early innings. And like you said, Kevin, that thin air, boy, that ball just be boom. That ball be out of there.
Hey, no lead is safe in Colorado. I'm hopeful the Braves go out with some confidence tonight and win again. As I said, the narrative is old. It needs to stop. Hey, you can't win 3 games in a row. It sounds ridiculous. And they're pros. He's like, hey, we're not worried about that. But it's June. It's June. The Pirates just beat the Dodgers 3 games in a row.
Come on.
You haven't beat
anybody
much or put together 3 days where you have won in a row. And it's June. So I think that's something you got to get off of your back. I mean, however you want to define it, you have not had a winning streak. Now, you haven't had a losing streak either because I think the Braves still have not lost more than 2 games in a row. But to me, that's a narrative that needs to go away.
Yep.
You need to get it done. And again, you're in a stretch of games against subpar teams. Technically, I mean, I guess you could say, well, the Braves have been subpar. They've played like it. So, but you are against the Rockies. You got the Pirates coming up, the Cubs. You have some teams, Ben, that you should beat. And the fact that you have not been able to string together 3 against a run of the schedule like this, to me, I mean, the Phillies just fired their manager today, and Joe Girardi. So, to me, you need this for roster confidence and more. Hopefully, they go out there and get it done. No Ozzie Albies in the lineup tonight. Apparently, just giving him a day off. Appreciate Gaurav Vidak joining us here on the program. If you missed any of the show, ESPNCoastal.com. Hit us up on our YouTube page at ESPN Coastal on YouTube, and we'll see you Monday.